What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about The Exorcism. Which one? The Exorcism. The one. This was released in 2024. Technically, it stars Ryan Simpkins. Unfortunately, she's not a big enough name. So it also stars Russell Crowe, David Hyde Pierce, which is I thought was a really interesting casting choice. Adrian Pasdar, who you may remember from Heroes, Chloe Bailey. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but that's enough. It's also directed by um, Joshua John Miller, who is the son of Jacob Miller, who was in the original Exorcist movie. So this film has all of those sort of like historical vibes, like my dad did this and I'm really upset about it and I'm going to process this on film. So I'm going to live vicariously through the character of Ryan Simpkins. And to some extent it is that, and to others it is something else. But to me, it was a film that didn't have audio description. So, fuck me. Anyway, this is this is one of those movies too where I noticed when it was on VOD that at least on the platforms I use again, I'm not going to start using. I don't even know if it has audio from Plex, but I'm going to start using like a fourth VOD service and have like all these anyway. Maybe it was on Plex. I don't know. But not on ones that I use anyway. So didn't have audio description, and then it got picked up by AMC Plus, where it also does not have audio description. I was like, well, this is a disturbing trend moving forward for this movie. So I just went ahead and watched it just for the sake of being able to comment on whether or not this film is at all watchable. It's not. It was a very tough watch, although all I knew going into the film was sort of what some other people had referred to the film as, which is essentially the fact that The Exorcist is this sort of legendarily cursed production, and this dude's the son of the guy that was in The Exorcist, and so that's his perspective. So he has this unique perspective, and that's what he's trying to put in this film. Of course, all those people who said that said this film also didn't work, but maybe that's because you have a specific idea also of what an exorcism movie should be. And this, even on AMC Plus, this felt like, even without audio description, I was like, is this a horror movie? Or are we having thoughts? Like, I could not tell if this was actually going to be scary enough to sustain warranting being lent to essentially like Shudder. So I don't know. Maybe it is. There's some moments where like the score builds and you're like, maybe something interesting is happening. But like towards the end of the film with Russell Crowe, you're kind of like, well, he's just kind of acting. I don't know. Are we really? I did not pick up on anything that was so unhinged, to quote a Russell Crowe movie, that this film absolutely like is just, bleeding horror. But the most fun that I had with this movie was not knowing David Hyde Pierce was in it and then hearing his voice, because that dude's got a voice that I instantly recognized. And I was like, David Hyde Pierce is it in that? Who the fuck sounds like David Hyde Pierce? Who is this actor? Like, and I was like ready to look it up afterwards and find out that this character was played by somebody I hadn't heard of. And I was like, oh, well, that dude sounds a lot like David. Oh, it is David Hyde Pierce. He doesn't get enough offers like this. So I kind of want to give like brownie points. Like, I don't really have a point system. I feel like I should, because I always say like I get points for things. There's just sort of like useless points. For anybody who's ever watched CinemaSins, and you accumulate points and they mean nothing at the end of it. The score is still going to be the same. So, again, points for casting David Hyde Pierce in a role that I would not have expected to see him in. And I really enjoyed really enjoyed that aspect of it, at least. So, and for what it's worth, what I can pull from this, I think Ryan Simpkins is doing a good job. She definitely is the lead here, like the how we view the film. Anyway, she's just not the biggest name in the cast. So the little bit that I can say positively about the film is that some of the acting was okay to good. I don't think anybody's gonna get an Oscar here, but I wasn't like listening to some of these monologues going, "Oh my god," because they did go out and they got actors who knew what they were talking about and knew how to deliver a monologue. And again, I found David Hyde Pierce's presence in this movie to be immensely entertaining to me. So, but the rest of it is just, I had no idea what was going on. You know, like with an Exorcism movie, I don't know. It's like the visuals are like, what's happening? What are you doing here? What, you know, the power of Christ compels you. Does it? I don't know. Does it compel anything? I can't tell. So this was a hot mess. I don't even really know where to grade this film, because this is one of those films where there were scenes where it's just kind of like there's no dialogue and we're just kind of watching something happen, and I don't even know what are we doing. So to try to say where do I think this film is on a scale is just like I don't know. Sometimes I try to give you like, I'll say a film is unwatchable, which is what I'm giving this grade. This is my official grade for the movie, unwatchable, due to lack of audio description. But then I try to give you like a grade, just, you know, because some films I get a vibe where I'm like, I definitely would like this film, regardless. This film, I'm like, it's right in that area where I could flip positive, but I could also flip negative. It's kind of in like the C range for me, so I can't even really tell you. That's the frustrating part with this movie, is that I could actually be persuaded either way by audio description. Even though this is like one of the least consequential titles of the year, this is probably one of the ones where if I was on the tomato meter, it absolutely would matter. Because I'm sitting here going like, man, I could go either way. There was stuff that I was like, maybe this is good. And there was other stuff I was like, this is not good. So context and being able to understand what's connecting these dots together really matters for this film, because some of it, and I would like to think that with the perspective that this guy has as behind the director's chair, that there's something here. You know what I'm saying? You have such a unique perspective on this story. Like, if you can't create something, you should seriously just never direct again. Like, if this is not your thing, this one film that you have a uniquely, specific perspective on, if this can't be managed, then you're just not a good director. Like, I hate, I hate to be that blunt, but the rest of the internet is probably saying a lot. Actually, it's saying a lot worse, because I've seen other reviews of this film. But you're basically making a deeply personal movie by sort of transposing a lot of your life onto the screen. So, like, if that doesn't work for you, then what else could you possibly do that would be better than this? You know, a lot of times artistry is pulled from personal experience, and this is your personal experience. So where would you go from here? Anyway, yeah, so I don't mean, I can't even tell you thumbs up, thumbs down, recommend, not recommend, because this is like this is right in the middle for me. It could go either way. I'm gonna guess it's negative, but I'll be optimistic because of the cast and say that there's a chance, because there were some moments where some of the acting, and it's like if the stuff around them is supported by the story and the plot, I can see myself saying this is slightly positive. Horror is a spectrum, and we can't always expect everything to just be like an instant classic. Sometimes you just need a horror film that's watchable like one time, and a lot of times that's what, that's what you get on the low end of fresh, is you get films that maybe are good that one time, maybe you'll never watch them again, but you can't just keep rewatching Hereditary over and over for the rest of your life. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.